Hey YouTube, welcome back to Dwayne's World. So I'm very excited about today's video, and I think it's pretty obvious why. Now I know you're looking at this video and you're seeing things in it that you've never seen before in Dwayne's World. And no, I'm not talking about the rotary mower. You want to find out more? You better stay tuned. Overseeding Bermuda with perennial rye. Some people think it's a sin. Others think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So we're going to find out. So when thinking about it and putting together today's content, I thought about what's the best way to do it. Do I want to just do one video and have everything in there? And I think some people would enjoy that. But I thought, it'd probably be better to split it up into multiple parts, like part 1, part 2, part 3. So I figured this way, I can kind of do it more real time and kind of show you it in phases as I'm doing it. So what I thought was important, because I know when I thought about this overseeding project, I thought about what am I going to need in order to do it from an equipment standpoint. Now I know there's an elephant in the room and I'll address that in a moment here. But, I thought about all the different equipment that goes into doing an overseeding. And when I showed you that intro shot, that is all the equipment I'm going to use, believe it or not. I'm going to use every piece of that equipment that you saw in the shot there, truth be told. So today's video, I really wanted to just go over the equipment that I'm going to be using. And in my follow-up video, which will happen very shortly thereafter, so don't worry, you're not going to have to wait too long, I'll show you the actual process of using the equipment in action. Because of the fact that there is that elephant in the room, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment here, that gives me a couple of extra variables that I could play with that I've never done before. That regardless of a overseed or not, I'm going to be able to take some of those cultural practices to my lawn that I've never been able to do, which I'm very excited about. So with that, let's get into the equipment. All right, so there's all the equipment I'm going to be using with this overseeding project. Now I know the elephant in the room is this Allett here. And I'll get to the Allett and I'll explain why I have it, where it came from, and all those things. But just really quickly, I'm not going to go over all the equipment as far as what it does. I just want to highlight for you guys what equipment I'm going to be using. So I figured, just like I would with any other mow job, you're going to need your trimmer, you're going to need your edger, and you're going to need your blower. So I got those out. So the other thing you're going to need is a way to be able to broadcast your seed when you got your soil all prepped. And I'm using a Scott's Turf Builder Classic Drop seed spreader to be able to do that. This is not my seed spreader. Actually, it belonged to a buddy of mine named Roy. He lent it to me along with the detacher here that I wanted to be able to use on my lawn. I've never detached my lawn, so I figured, you know what? Now's the time to do it. This is like similar to the Sun Joes that you see out there. It's an electric one. And I'll probably pick up my own, detacher, scarifier, whatnot one day. But at the same time, the drop spreader, it's one of those things where how often do you really use it? So, I had a buddy that had one, so I decided to go with that. So now, obviously the elephant in the room, the Allett. Now, you guys have seen my 25-inch GR series backlapping video, I hope, kind of highlighting that mower. Well, this mower comes from the same source. So thank you, Joel. Joel's a buddy of mine. He owns this Allett along with the different cartridges. So probably what I'll do is, yes, I'm going to use this for my overseeding project, but at the same time, I might feature this mower on my channel from time to time, just kind of showing you how it works. I really love the different cartridges, and I'll get back to those in just a moment. I've decided to use my California Trimmer to handle some of the scalp action when bringing the lawn down. And the reason why I chose the California Trimmer, not that I couldn't use the McLean, my McLean is newer than my Cal Trimmer. In fact, my McLean doesn't even need a sharpening at this point, as where my California Trimmer also is pretty sharp. But I want to be able to do a backlap on it very shortly here. And I figured, you know what, let me go ahead, scalp the lawn with it, and then I'll do a backlap for you guys so you guys can see that. And last but not least, just a good rotary mower. I believe that a lot of people make a mistake when they go and sell their rotary mower and only have a real mower. You always need to have a rotary mower. And even the reason why I'm using it today isn't because of its cutting capability, because these do not get down that low. I think this one maybe gets down to an inch, if that. I want it so it could suck up all the debris in my lawn. And that's really what I use my rotary mower for. I use my rotary mower religiously during the wintertime because I have so many trees in my backyard. It helps pick up all those leaves. So again, if you do not have a rotary mower, it's something you do want to consider. All right, so let's talk about the Allett here. Now, what I will be doing is I will be doing a full video on the Allett while I have it here, and Joel's lending it to me. But the main purpose of why I'm wanting to use the Allett is because of two of the cartridges, and I'll talk about those in a minute. The Allett you're looking at here is a Liberty 43, which is a 17-inch reel mower. It comes with the grass catcher. This is a battery-powered unit. I do know that they do sell a gas-powered unit, but this one is powered by battery. I don't even know if the batteries are included. They may not be. It uses a Greenworks 40-volt lithium battery, and I think the two that Joel have are either 4 or 5 amp hour. Now, I recommend anybody that has battery-powered equipment, you should at least have 2 batteries. One on standby and one in the actual mower, just like I do on my Ego products here that you can see. However, when it came to this overseeding project, you know, I decided that I really wanted to give this a try because of the fact that I've never verticutted my lawn and I've never scarified my lawn. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to be able to do that, especially because of the fact that I'm going to be really beating up the lawn and I'm going to be overseeding with the perennial rye. I don't know if I'll eventually one day buy an Allett. You know, probably not, in my opinion. I think the price point is just a little bit far out there for what I would want to invest in. I could be wrong, but at the same time right now, I'd probably say no. I'm very, very happy with mowers that are out there like the California Trimmer or the McLean. Now, some people may say, well, Dwayne, why even feature this on your channel then? Well, the reason why I'm featuring this on my channel is because of the fact that this is still considered a residential mower. And as you guys know, that's what I'm all about. Now, the price point on this residential mower obviously is a little bit higher than your California Trimmers or your McLeans. In fact, I'm not exactly sure the MSRP on this, but I think it's somewhere in the mid $2,000 range, maybe $2,500, you know, as a suggested retail. But even when you purchase that, it will only come with the 6-blade reel that you see there. It will not include these other 3 cartridges that Joel had actually picked up in his owning of this mower. So with that, you know, I want to see how well this thing is going to be able to perform. I'm very excited to be able to use it, and I'm going to show you guys that in action very shortly here. So one of the things I figure I'm going to add to the video today is let me just do a regular mow. And you know, the reason why I want to do a regular mow is I kind of want to treat it like it's the regular growing season, and I just want to familiarize myself with the Liberty 43. I've never really used it before, so before I start scarifying and before I start using a verticutter, I just want to get a little more comfortable with how the mower actually operates. So I figure at the same time, let me show you guys how to swap out the reels, you know, 6-blade for the 10-blade. We'll test them both on my lawn and see if we see a visible difference between a 6-blade and how a 10-blade performs, and I think you guys will enjoy that. So with that, let's continue with the video. I want to kind of give you guys a look at the lawn before we do anything to it. Again, this is about 750 square feet, my front lawn that is. Very small front yard, but it definitely has had its struggles this year, as I pointed out in my previous videos. It's probably been about a week since I mowed, so I want to be able to get the Liberty on here before I do anything and just give it a nice haircut. We'll see what it looks like. You know, certain areas of the lawn do look very good still. They're still very green in some spots. But as you get closer to the house here, you can tell that the Bermuda's checked out and starting to go into dormancy. As you can see here especially, there's a lot of yellowing there. That's not from any damage, that's purely because of dormancy. But again, if you haven't seen any of my last videos, like these areas here were because more than likely a spring dead spot that was caused by either too much nitrogen or fungus. My opinion is probably fungus more than anything else. I think the lawn and soil is very compacted. I didn't do an aeration this year as I probably really should have, but because of that, that probably caused a lot of excess water to sit on the surface, ultimately causing fungus and ultimately those areas to die out. So that's something you can't fix in the springtime. It's already too late. It was probably caused in the fall from some overwatering. It was probably on my part. But again, just want to give you guys a look before we get our mow on. And with that, let's fire up the Liberty. Okay, so when I got this mower from Joel, it already had the scarifying attachment in the unit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch it out for the 6-blade reel. And there is a process that you have to follow in order to do that. This is where I think a lot of people probably don't like the Liberty as much as some of the other Allets, because it does require a couple of steps in order to get the cartridge out. It's not complicated, but let me show you what we need to do in order to take care of that. So the first thing we need to do is remove this bar here that is ultimately only there to hold up the grass catcher. So there's a little quick release spring here. I'm going to basically pull that out, and this is going to allow me to be able to remove the bar, and it comes off as such. The next thing we want to do is remove this side cover here on the side. I believe it's held in with some Allen screws that are 5mm. So let me go ahead and get a tool and we'll go ahead and take those. From what I'm understanding about the Allett, there are 4 screws that hold in the side cover. You have one here, one here, one here, and one there. Okay, and there we go, cover's off. Only reason why I'm taking the side cover off isn't necessarily for this portion of the mower here that has to do with the mower and all the pulleys. It's really just so I can get access to right here. Let me move my camera around. So as you can see here on the front of the mower, there's this little opening here. This is where I think a lot of people wish that Allett on these mowers would have also installed some type of opening here on the side there, so that way you wouldn't need to remove the cover just to get the cartridge out. Now there is one other step you need to do in order to remove the cartridge, and that is remove 2 of these Allen screws here. You have one here and one on the opposite side, so let me go ahead and do that. All right, so what I've done now is I went ahead and removed the 2 5mm Allen screws from either side of the reel. So now that I have everything off here, it should just come out once I pull. Yep, and there we go. Now it's out. All right, one thing I just wanted to point out that's very cool about the Allett here. Behind the front roller, there's an actual comber that actually combs and helps stands the grass up before it's actually cut. It's a nice feature that they put on there. I wish more reel mowers had that, because in some cases when you're laying down the grass, you could be missing some blades. So this basically helps stand up the grass before you mow over it. So let me show. So what I want to quickly do is I just want to test it really quick just to see if it's cutting paper. So first thing I'm going to do is just spin the reel here. Looks good there, good there, good there. Definitely a sharp reel and all good to go. Let me go ahead and just reinstall it now. Okay, there it is. I'm just going to go ahead and reattach the screws and we'll be good to go. So I noticed when I was using my Allen tool, this was kind of getting in the way of the reel, so it was making it hard to tighten down. So basically all I'm doing is I went ahead and just grabbed this small little ratchet with an Allen on the end of it. All right, so now that I got those 2 screws tightened down, I'm going to go ahead and install the side cover and we will be good to go. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm not going to go ahead and use the basket right now. I just want you guys to be able to see how well that reel performs so you can see the grass coming off of it. So afterwards, I'll put the basket on. All right, so one thing I want to show you just really quickly is how you adjust the height of cut. So basically turn this knob either clockwise or counterclockwise. Right now I have it set to about 1.5. I don't know, I think that's about 3/4 inch. So we're going to go ahead and go with that. I'll do a little more detailed review of how specifically it works when I actually do the overview of the Allett. But for right now, that's where I will be cutting. We'll see how much grass comes off. All right, so I got to tell you, it feels a little bit strange, just because when I let off of it, when I'm going to make my turn, I'm so used to like turning around a mower and still hearing it. It almost feels like I'm turning it on and off every time between each pass. So definitely going to take a little bit of getting used to. All right, so let's take a look how she did. Liberty 43 in action. However, I would say, just because of the sun, not going to see any stripe action, unfortunately, but one thing I just want to kind of show you guys is I'm very happy with the quality of cut. You know, I know with the Liberty 43s, I think a lot of people do complain about them because there's no motor on them, especially the battery-powered one, I mean. And because of no motor, the weight distribution they feel like is off. Some people put a weight on either side of it, so meaning that it cuts lower on one side than the other because of that weight distribution. I do not see that. Maybe it's just because my Bermuda is not very thick right now. I'm not seeing an unevenness, but it cuts great. I definitely have no complaints about the cut. It definitely looks good. It doesn't excuse the way my lawn looks, but at the same time, I think overall the 6-blade performed very well. And with that, let's go ahead and switch it out with the 10-blade. I want to see if I get any better of a quality of cut. All right, so there she is all installed. 10-blade now installed in the mower. Looks great. I love the way that 10-blade looks in there. There's something about it. I'm not even saying necessarily whether or not the quality of cut's going to be that much better, but I will say the look is 100% better. Absolutely. See why people do not like having to remove that side cover and those 2 screws to swap out the cartridge every time. It's a little bit of a pain, I'll be honest with you. I've only done it one time, and I can't see wanting to do that over and over again as I'm going through the cartridges, especially if I'm going to do this quite often to my lawn. So that's where maybe the Sterling or a different Allett may be a better option for you when you're looking at these cartridge systems, when you plan on using them a lot more frequently. So with that, let's go ahead and test out the 10-blade, see if we notice any difference. Blade Liberty 43. Let's see how she did. You know, I'm not going to say that there was a huge difference between the quality of cut. In fact, what I will say is that I actually scalped a little bit more with the 10-blade. If you look here, I noticed when I was going across it as I was mowing, I started to scalp. And the height of cut has not moved. So the only reason why I believe that I would have scalped now versus using the 6-blade is because the 10-blade reel is definitely heavier than the 6-blade. So that's going to mean more weight on the front of the mower. So that may make a difference as it relates to your height of cut. But overall, I think I'm happy with the evenness all throughout the lawn. This reel is very sharp, so there's no unevenness. As some people, like I mentioned, do complain because of the weight distribution on the mower. Definitely happy with the way this looks. I mean, if my lawn was fully full in, growing season, I'm sure it will look phenomenal using the Liberty 43. So, very happy with the results so far with that mower. All right, so before I go ahead and wrap up today's video, I want to say thank you to a couple people. The first person is Roy. Roy, thank you so much for allowing me to borrow your drop spreader as well as your detacher. Both those things are really going to come in handy when I'm completing my overseeding project, so I really appreciate that. Thank you, buddy. My second thank you is to Joel. Joel, thank you for allowing me to be able to feature the Allett on my channel here today. You know, I know that that's not an inexpensive mower. And for you to always be so willing to help me out on my channel with any of your mowers to be able to feature on my channel, it just says a lot about you and the type of person you are, and that you have that kind of trust in me to know I'm going to take care of your equipment and really treat it the right way and be able to highlight it on my channel. I really, really appreciate that. That says a lot about you as a person, and I'm proud to be able to call you a friend. So as far as today's video, even though I wanted to do these videos in multiple parts, which I am going to, felt like it was part 1 and part 1.5. Part 1 being the equipment, part 1.5 being the mow action that I included in the video. And when I included the part 1.5 or the mow action, it was really kind of twofold. The first reason was just to really familiarize myself with the Liberty 43 before I start using the scarifying attachment as well as the verticut. That was the purpose of why I just wanted to familiarize myself with how that mower actually operates before I actually start my renovation. The second reason was it's not every day when you have the ability and the opportunity to be able to use both the 6-blade reel and a 10-blade reel on the same exact mower. There are very few mowers that have these cartridge systems. So I thought, you know what? This is something that Dwayne's World audience will probably really like to see, and to see if there really is a difference between a 6-blade and a 10-blade. Now, my lawn may have not been the right application to really be able to test it. I do own a 10-blade already in my 25-inch McLean. I've owned 10 blades before in the past, and I absolutely see a difference in the quality of cut. I just think on today's video with my lawn, it just really didn't highlight it in the best possible light. But at the same time, I'm a big believer if you do have the Allett, get both those cartridges. If it's only for this reason alone, and that reason would be while you're actually having one serviced, you have a second one in your mower that you can continue to use. So if you needed to get a sharpening mid-season, that's fine, because you still have the other reel that you can go to and be able to use it. And I think that's absolutely awesome when it comes to the Allett. Again, look forward to my future videos, so that way I'll be able to show you guys the Allett in a little more detail, which I'm sure you guys will probably like to see. And as always, be excellent and party on.